The views, takes and opinions expressed on this show are of the host's own and do not represent the views, takes and opinions of the Main Event Mark, PWPH Wrestling Network and its affiliates. Material and sources mentioned in this episode is for general and commentary purposes only. This episode might include strong language and may not be suitable for children. Listener discretion is advised. Stay safe and stay wrestle everyone. Welcome to the Main Event Mark.
Yun. So, we're back finally here on the Main Event Mark podcast. So, thank you very much for listening on the pod every single week. So, pasensya na na wala tayong mga episode recently ng sunod-sunod. But I will give you at least 3 episodes this week. So, therefore, we can fill the gap of having the episodes. Tsaka para lang din magkaroon ng continuity yung mga nangyayari ngayon here in wrestling. By the way, my name is Angelo and you're listening to your unfiltered Tagalog wrestling podcast, the Main Event Mark podcast. So, this is still part of the Pro Wrestling Philippines Club Wrestling Network. So, just to let you know about that. So, I took a break after the Royal Rumble. I took a ano ba tawag dito? I took a ample of days just to think what the hell is happening in wrestling. Not only local but as well as the international wrestling scene. And like, what the fuck are we dealing with? Dominican is giving me reasons not to fucking deal with this, man. And yeah, as expected, ano na naman kababalaghan yung mga inaasahan natin with Tony? Ano na naman kababalaghan yung aking in-expect? Should we still expect the expected? Because I am not surprised at all that we're getting this bullshit. Diba? So, in case you missed it, so daming nangyari while I am on Hibernation Mode. And yeah, there's a lot of things. Vengeance Day happened. That disaster Grand Slam happened also. Then we have a lot of releases. I'll talk about that at the beginning of the pod. Then there's a lot of stuff also that happened, like Ricky Saints appearing on NXT, and now he already made his debut week later. So I am just watching as a fan this past 2 weeks, but it still doesn't really matter to most of you guys because I am just observing. It doesn't mean that I'm not gonna do this shit. No, hindi nyo ako mapapa-urge na mag-quit for good. No, it's hard. Gusto ko lang talaga magpahinga hanggat maaari. Gusto kong walang ganito. Ayoko nang may ganito. Ayoko mag-isip ng katangahan habang iniisip ko kung paano nga ba dapat iset yung proper expectation ko when it comes to this tomfoolery of wrestling shows recently, especially when it comes to AEW. So, on this part of the series of episodes that I'll do this week in wrestling, so I'm just gonna talk about AEW Grand Slam, the Vengeance Day, tsaka yung Meltzer report, tsaka yung releases that I just mentioned a few minutes ago. So, there's a lot of releases happened in WWE, AEW, and also TNA that we are going to tackle here on the main event. So first thing, I hope you can support the podcast on all of the social media platforms, sa Facebook, sa X, sa Instagram, sa TikTok, at sa iba pa mga social media platforms. So there's a lot of ways to support the wrestling scene. You can watch it on YouTube every other week. Meron mga puso shows that they're airing. Meron ding show si FPW. They have an upcoming show on March. Si DexCon, they have Yuji Tutsu? Oh, Yuji. I'm not sure how to mention his name properly. But I think Dexcon is doing a really good job on establishing a lot of big names in the scene, and that's amazing to me. And yeah, so let's talk about Dexcon later, since there's a lot of things happen then on the local wrestling scene for the past few days. So yun na nga, follow the podcast, Facebook, X, Instagram, TikTok, Twitch, at iba pang platforms at Main Event Mark PW. Wala nang iba. Main Event Mark PW. So, yun na lang muna. I'm just going to start my tirade here para dire-diretso tayo. Kasi ahaba tong episode na to, panigurado. Like what we mentioned on the episode of the PWPH podcast that I am about to release, actually, I have to explain things here. Bakit nga ba recently hindi tayo nagre-release ng podcast doon sa platform na yan? The reason for that is nagkaroon kasi ng problema sa RSS ng podcast. So if you are a content creator, typically doing podcasts on Acast or Spotify, whatever platform that you're using, there's a problem that I am still trying to resolve as we speak on that part of the system. So we're still trying to resolve that as we are looking here on the recording. And yeah, I'm still trying to observe what is going to happen next on that. So for now, if you want to listen on the upcoming episodes of the pod, you can tune in sa Main Event Mark YouTube channel at sa iba pang mga podcast platforms ng Main Event. So doon na lang muna tayo mag-focus sa parts na yun. And then, ayun, marami tayong ilalabas this week sa podcast dito, tsaka sa Main Event, sa iba pang mga podcast natin. And I'm still considering the third podcast of the network, kung naman yung gagawin natin doon. Yeah, we will talk about that soon. So for now, I'm going to start my tirades when it comes to news. Let's start with the big news here. So obviously, I think I discussed it a lot here, that there are some releases happened for the past few days. So Fightful, just bear with me. Fightful notified us about the releases doon sa information about the ongoing releases. So we have Cedric Alexander, Paul Ellering, Akam, Razor, then Sonya Deville, that she decided not to continue with her contract, and she was being informed also that her contract would not be extended. Blair Davenport also being informed that she is also released. Prior to this, Bear Border of AEW has been fired. It's because of his arrest due to battery by strangulation in January and cut him from the company. Wow, holy crap. So that's the news recently so far. Then Duke Hudson, mentioned by Fightful also a few weeks ago, that he was also no longer part of the WWE, and the move was announced in January, and we're trying to get more answers about that, but we never got one. So that's the news that we are having recently. So also another champion, very recent ito, PWN and Fightful are reporting that Carmella, former women's champion, is no longer part of the WWE. Technically, she's no longer part of the WWE. So, Carmella last wrestled for WWE in March 2023, but had only back for about 6 weeks. She's been out of action since January 2022. Prior, she's since had a child and noted that she is also battling drop foot. So, I'm not sure how it goes for Carmella, and I hope she will be able to recover anytime soon. Pero that's the news that we're able to confirm that Carmella is no longer in a contract with WWE. And everyone knows that Carmella is coming back sooner than later on the company. And my personal note, I love Carmella as a gimmick. I love Carmella as a person too. So, wala naman akong personal na galit when it comes to her character. Wala rin akong personal na galit when it comes to her things that she's doing. It's just happens na medyo may mga bagay talaga na uumay ako when it comes to booking. Yan, that's typically me when it comes to Carmella. But Carmella is doing a really good job on her run sa kanyang run recently. Yung hindi ko lang nagustuhan was the Sasha Banks run versus Carmella. Personal note ko, parang mas gusto ko na mag-champion si Carmella by then. Pero, yeah, that's a little bit understandable. Kung bakit niya ba din nila binigyan ng title run si Carmella until itong women's title. Then now, never. And then now, a few weeks later, we got this report by Fightful that she's no longer part of a contract, and hope that we will be able to see Carmella again in the WWE premises. That's the news. Aside from that, so let's try to run down what is happening on our news. So, ano pa ba? So we have the confirmation for The Rock. So this is according to Fightful. A number of matches for SmackDown, which is we're going to talk about that in the next episode of the show, has been reworked with The Rock appearing on the show tonight. So WWE deleted Nick Aldis' announcement video, and then there are some people that was disappointed. Yun. So that's the case. So we have also some reports that there are some athletes that might come to WWE anytime soon in AEW. So speaking of talent, we have confirmation that Speedball Mike Bailey is coming to AEW soon. It was confirmed during an episode of AEW Collision. Is it good for me? Definitely. Palagi ko sinasabi to sa mga forum, sa mga podcast ko, that yung style ni Mike Bailey sa TNA will work more sa setting ng AEW rather than sa WWE. I don't want to belittle his style, pero that works more on AEW side. And I'm not saying that he is not a great wrestler. Nagkataon lang that I think his style will match, or it might be appreciated by people who is in AEW rather than people who is watching WWE, to be honest. So, yun lang. Di na muna ako magtatakil ng ibang stuff. Let's talk about that in the previous episodes. Then, ano ba? I was trying to look here. Ayun. So, it was noted here this week that Rhea Ripley is not on the show this week's on Raw. It's because of Rhea Ripley is on the honeymoon with her husband, obviously. So it was announced. Then, ano pa ba? I'm trying to look to my scripts here. Then, ito, releases then. So, Giovanni Vinci was released. The Good Brothers, Carl Anderson, Luke Gallows. I'm not gonna tackle on what I should expect on all of them. And then Isla Dawn was confirmed also that she was released. Pero, here's what I'm going to say with all of these releases. There's a lot of wrestling promotions that we have. And everyone will agree on me on this, no? That wrestling never ends in WWE. Hindi matatapos ang wrestling in just WWE. If you're a wrestling fan or a fan of those people who got released from their contracts, you and everyone else knows that WWE is not the only wrestling promotion in the world. There's a lot of ways to support these people, and not only with WWE. If they land on AEW, support them on AEW. If they land on TNA, support them on TNA. And everything that they're doing, I hope you can also support. You can do that also on our local wrestling scene. So that's why we are promoting our local shows here in the Philippines. So that's the case from there. And actually, in my honest opinion, we're doing a really good job on promoting those shows here on the pod. Again, I'm not putting myself over, but I have to, because there are some people also that they're putting themselves over. It makes sense also. Yan. So that's the news. But mag-agree naman kayo sa akin, panigurado, that if there's a big release that happened on this set of releases recently, Cedric Alexander is definitely gonna go to AEW. AOP is definitely gonna land on TNA. But the rest, medyo blanco ako. Yun lang talaga. Kahit nung mga pinag-iisip-isip ko pa siya nang naka-hibernate ako, hindi ko talaga siya maisip. Ayan. So, let's talk about the Vengeance Day now, if you don't mind. I watched this show on Netflix, just to let you know. Kasi the show is available on Netflix outside the United States except from the Philippines, because the Philippines sucks. Philippines has the WWE Network and I don't want to watch the WWE Network. We have the Tagalog commentary naman on Netflix, so bakit ako manonood with the WWE Network? Yan. Speaking of WWE Network, happy birthday by the way to Stan. Belated happy birthday. So, ito, Vengeance Day. Let's talk about this show. I love this show for being imperfect, in my honest opinion. Especially with the debut of Ricky Starks or Ricky Saints on the show. It's amazing to me. And overall presentation of how we got from Vengeance Day, it's actually really good also. So I'll just start with the NXT Women's title, or NXT Women's North American title. So Fallon Henley versus Stephanie Baker. In this match, to be honest with you guys, I think they did a really good job building Fallon Henley like a big threat to Steph, no? I think they did a really good job on that, and props then kay Fallon, because they are actually building her like a big champion, like a big character. Hindi nila ganong iniisip na okay, si Jordan, si Julia, si Fallon, or si other people who is with the circle of the top talents that they got last year lang yung magkaka-priority. Pero hindi eh. Fallon Henley is there since NXT 2.0, and I think when it comes to the improvements from 2.0 to this era of NXT, Fallon Henley is definitely one of the people I liked na nag-step up to the plate talaga. And I think they did a really good job on Fallon Henley for sure. Yun. So, I'll tackle about the match later. The match that I love about Fallon dito is she knows she knows her limit. Nakagat ko yung labi ko. Pasensya na. She knows her limit for sure. We're not saying that she's the perfect opponent for Steph Baker, but I would say she is the perfect dancing partner for Steph to be able to drop the belt. I'm not saying that Fallon is a bad champion. I'm not saying that. But I think wala na dapat patunayan si Fallon dito sa main roster, sa NXT roster. I would love to see her sa main roster within this year. Sama tong sila JCJ, Jasmine, konti pang hinog kay Jasmine Nix. I love her too. But I would love to see a replacement for Jasmine Nix. Someone on her level also. Pero yeah, that's my take on that. So, I think the match was really good. Pero I'm still trying to find more potential on the stable nila Fallon Henley. And medyo I am trying din na tignan ano ba yung potential ng stable na to as a whole. Pero I find it really fun to see Fallon Henley to wrestle someone on a level ni Stephanie Baker. And that was a really good match overall. Then, yes, Steph is definitely the one who elevated the match. But let's give also a prop kay Fallon Henley. Kasi, like what I mentioned earlier, she did a really good job as a champion. And she did also a tremendous job on putting Baker over. Stephanie Baker, I would agree that she is definitely the best woman when it comes to these debuts. Yes, I am saying this over Julia. Julia medyo nabibitin ako with her run so far. And I will talk about that later. Then, and I also can say that Stephanie talaga is really special. And I am really enjoying her win on that event actually. Yan. So, that was amazing. Just to let you know also that the WWE Evolve is wait lang. Sumasakit yung leg ko. The WWE Evolve is going to be televised on Tubi and also on YouTube on March 5 every Wednesdays 8 p.m. 8 a.m. Manila time or 9 a.m. Manila time if you're still following the time without the savings time, whatever. So that's regardless. So let's talk about the NXT Tag Team Titles match. Same on my arguments on the PWPH podcast. I think Nathan Frazer and Axiom are doing a really good job as champions. However, their story direction is kinda ruins me when it comes to this two. And now, just like that, magkasundo na ulit sila. Like, what the fuck? Oh my God. Kaya hindi ko masisi yung mga observer viewers on this, man. But I love those two, to be honest with you guys. I love both Nathan Frazer and Axiom. But I think there's something wrong with these two, especially on their run in 2024. I'll talk about that later on the pod then as well. But for now, the match between Nathan Frazer and Axiom versus Josh Briggs and Yoshiki Inamura. He is from Noah. Yun, the match was amazing. And I think that was a really good showing for someone like Yukishi Inamura. And take note, I don't really religiously watch Wrestling Noah. So parang blanco rin ako on his potential on this match. But I think on him watching this match only, I think it was amazing. The con of it, medyo bitin ako. Nabitin ako ng napakalala. No? And parang sobrang unpredictable din nung match na yun. Yeah, I called Fraser and Axiom to win, of course. But this is amazing right now. And they did a really good job on pitting their characters. Bumabawi sila. Pero 2024 is not their year, definitely. Let's continue. So, we also have the 4 persons that we saw na parang surprise. So, they assaulted the champions. And then, it was revealed that Dion Lennox was the one who is attacking the 2. And then, it was revealed later that it's a 4-member stable. And hindi natin nakuha yung stable this week. So, it's kind of sad for me. Then, next is a strap match between Trick Williams and Eddie Thorpe. Man, I'll start with Eddie Thorpe. Eddie Thorpe is doing a really good job on putting Trick Williams over. No matter what we're getting, but he's amazing on that. He's amazing on being a heel in NXT. Right now, there's a lot of wrestlers that I think it might be different, depends on who is on subject, but Eddie Thorpe is the MVP so far in 2025. Those 2 people, Eddie Thorpe and Trick Williams, I think they did a really good job on telling what is going to happen. And the only thing that I am actually surprised on was the win of Eddie Thorpe instead of Trick, because we're expecting Trick Williams that he might get a win, then he's going to fight for the NXT title at Stand and Deliver. Then yeah, I think that was the plan, but that's not the case. Then medyo surprising din sa akin that it might be something that they're going to write Trick Williams off TV for good, for sure. Pero this is a pretty different stipulation that I wish it happened before pa nitong match na to. Dapat they should let Eddie Thorpe win over Trick Williams. And that should be the case. And I think they did a really good job here because it was amazing as fuck. Then, on NXT this week, it was announced that Ricky Starks is now going to be called Ricky Saints. And Ricky Saints, in my opinion, is not a bad name. He mentioned on the Busted Open podcast that yung Ricky Saints means the New Orleans, obviously, the home of WrestleMania 42. We will talk about that in a few minutes. But I really love the idea of Ricky Saints, to be fair. I'm not saying it's a terrible name, but it was a name that I never expected. To be honest, guys, to be honest. This is a name that I never expected that was amazing. And parang there's something that di na ako magugulat kasi Ricky Starks, his name, obviously his real name. So parang ayaw nila ipa-trademark yung name niya, same as John Cena. So no surprise there. And I think it's a move na may part si Ricky Starks doon. So I'm good with that. Then Ethan Page versus Javon Evans. This match was amazing. I'm not laughing because it was a fun match or it was a laughable match. These 2 people is definitely killing themselves over just for respect. And I love it. The match was amazing. The story was amazing. And obviously, Javon Evans, very charismatic. Ethan Page is someone that I can give my shit on easily. when it comes to these characters. And I think he is doing an amazing job on selling that. And hindi ka naman magdi-disagree sa akin if that's the case. And Trick Williams, na something that he can match on, is also applicable to Kevon Evans. So that's applicable to him also. Then, the match itself was amazing. Medyo savvy nga lang yung ending. Medyo savvy yung ending. But like what we are expecting, it really makes sense para magtuloy-tuloy yung progression of story. That's WWE, or that's what they're trying to do in every matches. Yes, you're not expecting a one-shot thing because you need a progressive storylines. Other than that, you're just booking shit in matches. That's as AEW about that, by the way. Yan. So, let's continue. So, we have the NXT title match between Austin Theory, then Grayson Waller versus Femi. The match overall was chaotic, but I am just not thinking that we have to see this match at all. Ako parang wala naman mali. Wala naman mali na tandem si Trick at saka si walang mali sa akin na naglabo-labo tong tatlo. Walang mali sa akin. This is just obviously a one-time feud between Femi and the Aussie guy Ed Grayson and Austin Theory. I mean, A-Town Down Under. Nothing wrong with that. Sure. Kasi they're obviously setting up the TNA thing. But, I have to say this here. They did a really good job selling us that A-Town Down Under is going to fuck themselves over within this match. But yes, they are competing against each other. But I think they just played their role here para lang ma-defend talaga ni Femi yung title. It was amazing. Then, Waller and Austin Theory, yes, parang naggagagawan na lang sila dyan sa ring na yan. Then, there's a story obviously that we are progressing dito. Hindi ko lang alam if this is going to lead to a match at WrestleMania or Stand and Deliver, but I hope we can see that. Pero based on what happened, Waller and Theory might feud against each other, and I would love to see that, to be honest with you guys. And it's very odd to me that I am actually loving the idea of them feuding against the guy should be Trick Williams. Pero it might be different because of the happenings over at NXT this week, with Moose making his debut. I'll talk about that later. Overall, the match, I think that was a pretty good match, and they just did what they have to do. Trick Williams is waiting on the line, obviously. And we're just waiting to see how things will explode on this next event. Then, they are promoting Roadblock. That's the next special on the Madison Square Garden. Yeah, so that's the case. Then, finally, after of that match, we got the four guys again. And then this time, they unmasked themselves. Pero di ko pa rin sila mamukaan. But yeah, that's the case. And then, after of that segment, Ava was interviewed by Sarah Scriber. Then, they're trying to deal with the GM or director of authority, Santino Marala, over in TNA. Then, it was amazing, man, that we are able to see Santino And I love actually Ariana Grace. Ariana Grace is actually doing a really good job on this character. Um, Medyo sayang lang kasi ewan ko ba't di siya nagre-reso. I would love to see her more on TV. Sa totoo lang. Pero yeah, I love what they're doing on Ariana Grace. Then, Santino Marella and Ava are teasing something between the partnership between TNA and NXT. And yeah, they're pitching matches. And that's one of them, Obafemi versus Moose, for the NXT title. And yeah, I cannot wait to see more of that soon on the pod. So, Ava told both that we're going to talk about that soon. And I'm laughing on this segment because they are ignoring that Santino is actually the father of Ariana Grace. It's funny as fuck. And Santino is just selling on that. So, it was amazing overall. And then, we have also this main event that we have to see now. Julia versus Roxanne Perez versus Bailey versus Cora Jade. So, overall, this match was amazing. I am really shocked. I am really shocked more on this. Bear with me that the one who got pinned on this match was actually Roxanne Perez. And yeah, I would say this might piece her more when it comes to this thing. And then it was amazing overall. It was really expected that Julia is going to retain over those three. Then, so it was amazing. Diba? It was amazing as fuck. And sa sobrang bilis na nangyari, hindi ko na alam kung paano ko siya i-explain sa inyo. If there's a way that you can watch this show on Netflix, on the network, prioritize ito. This is amazing. Like, Cora Jade is such an impressive wrestler since last year that she came back, and it shows here as well. Then, Bailey, obviously, she's great, very given na yan. Then, Roxanne Perez is amazing on her own right, and she needs to go to the main roster so that's possible permanently. Then, Julia. Ito, let's talk about Julia a little bit. I love Julia outside of the WWE. I am trying to grow myself watching Joshi. And the one I noticed about this thing was actually Julia. Julia is charismatic as fuck when it comes to this character. And I think it's shining on her when it comes to these things. And it really makes sense to see that Julia is the one who is getting the spotlight on NXT. Then, it really makes sense then as well that Perez was the one who got pinned because siya na yung makukolab. So, para sa akin, logical lang yun. Kung may magre-reklamo dyan, bahala kayo. It is what it is. It's amazing. Regardless, then Julia is celebrating to the ring. Then we have Stephanie Baker. And then they did a Chris Benoit thing over there. And it was amazing. Then Jordan Grace appeared for the first time again as a WWE superstar on NXT. Then she is now part of the roster. Then they teased a 3-way to end the show, and same as what we got on this week's Fallout on NXT. Then, Jordan Grace, in my opinion, can fill the gap of Roxanne. But I think all of those three can fill the gap, and we are getting better than Roxanne that she did for the past few years. But, sobrang easy to fit in ni Roxanne Perez sa totoo lang. And this might work in a long run when it comes to that. I hope Josh Alexander is still convinced that he is going to WWE instead of AEW due to that reports recently. But overall, I think that was amazing to me. So for overall rating ko, this might change anytime soon. I'll give this 7 at least. I'll give it the 7. Sobrang flat na yung 7 for me. Overall, the show was amazing. Not expecting too much channel changes because it was already given. Then, the main event was amazing as fuck. And definitely the 3-way is one of the things that you should look forward. Then, Fallon Henley. The thing that they did on Fallon Henley, they did a really good job building Fallon Henley in general. On this episode of the show. So, yeah, let's continue with AEW Grand Slam Australia. And yes, let's give some people a background why we are talking about this shit here on the podcast. So, Grand Slam, nangyari siya obviously. Hindi siya live because they are prioritizing the NBA tomfoolery. I don't really watch basketball na, so if there's some people that might be offended on that joke, I apologize. But sorry, not sorry. So let's continue. Dynamite or Collision Grand Slam. They are thinking and why Tony Khan is thinking. Just bear with me here. I'm just looking for my notes for Grand Slam Australia. Jesus Christ, Tony. Ayan. So, just a second. Oh my God. Na-open ko na to kanina. Bear with me. Ayun. So, Grand Slam Australia, nangyari din siya on the same day as NXT Vengeance Day. Magkaiba lang sila ng oras, no? So, let's highlight what we are able to confirm and what we got on this show. Let's talk about the few matches that I think it suck. I think it's amazing. I think, ano ba, pakialam ko when it comes to this. Pero, yeah, I'm just looking for my notes. Bear with me. Sadya na guys, I have to look this properly. So, let's start with Toni Storm winning the women's title from Mariah May. So, that's very obvious. And, yeah, I am pretty expecting that it should be the outcome, since obviously Will Ospreay is not main eventing this pay-per-view or this show. So it really makes sense to me that that should be the main event. And it's very logically then, para sa akin, that if it's not Ospreay, then that should be Julia. Or if it's not Ospreay, then it should be Toni Storm. So that's logically makes sense. And other than that, that's fucking terrible idea to begin with. But yeah, let's continue on what we are getting. So just bear with me. I'm trying to look for the Grand Slam review that I took notes a few days ago while Hibernation. Pasensya na guys. Hindi ko talaga makita. Buisit. So, so bear with me with that. I apologize again. Grand Slam Australia. Grand Slam. Okay, I think it's still not cut. I apologize. So, just bear with me. Trying to look for the results, and I'm pretty frustrated. Oh my God. Hindi ko talaga makita. What the hell? Okay, just bear with me here. Oh my god, I am Ayun, never mind. I got this. Okay, so Grand Slam Australia. So, this happened on a smaller venue, and I'll just say this right now. I have no issues with the ring, the size of the ring, because people are starting arguments or bullshit about the size of the ring for AEW Grand Slam, and is people or someone who is watching wrestling for a longer period of time, alam ko nang may ganitong mishap or hindi rin naman perfect sa AEW when it comes to that mistakes. And I am glad that they were able to set a backup plan about that. But let's do some reality check here also. Kasi AEW built this show to be a pay-per-view. Obviously, they are doubling down it for the past few weeks kasi they just wanted na magsabi that this should not be a pay-per-view, but they're giving us a double down. Instead, we got the tomfoolery that we're expecting, and to be fair, they did a really good job on Grand Slam Australia. But let's give us a review, or going to give you a review at that. So yes, it was a smaller ring. No issues with the ring because people are getting used to every smaller rings. However, with someone bigger than AEW or WWE or TNA as well, ring should be a standard one. 2020. Ang issue kasi with the ring, as people are also discussing it, parang wala silang explanation on why this ring is very small. Wala rin silang explanation why this ring was smaller than the usual ring that they have. This was never explained on the broadcast, so I'm kinda frustrated about that, and I am kinda amused why we are getting a lot of fuck-ups on this single show. I'm not saying it's a pay-per-view, it's a single show that people are expecting originally that it's a pay-per-view. That's no longer a pay-per-view, and we're getting a lot of fuck-ups and last-minute bullshit, especially with that ROH show. That if you guys are agreeing with me, we don't need that, to be honest with you. We just need to see a better show than what you are originally expecting. But anyways, the only issue that I encountered about the ring is they didn't explain why the ring was smaller than the usual one, and they didn't also explain why these things are happening. If these things happen in WWE, these people, including the sickos and the fans of AEW, might also complain on why this ring was smaller than the usual if it happened in WWE, and we might get a different reception from the people who is aiding the WWE, who is aiding shitting on WWE. Yeah, but this thing happened on AEW, so we have to defend it, right? People are defending it, so that's why we don't buy it. But I would say this, props to AEW for adapting, as always, when it comes to emergency. But no matter what, no matter what, this should be a standard that you should have the ring at all times, no matter what will happen and any type of consequences. You should have the best part of a wrestling event. Wala na akong paki sa setup. You just have to focus on the fucking ring. And you observe one of the matches, Buddy Matthews versus Kazuchika Okada. Was disappointed that the ring was smaller than the usual one. So, no surprise from there. And that was pretty disappointing on most of the parts as well. So, let's start with ato. So I'm just gonna look on my other review that I have here. So AEW Grand Slam, Australia. So yeah, that's my observations. I think there's some things that I love, and also there's some things that I don't think we should get ever again. And people might agree on me if I explain the few things about this goddamn show. So let's start with the opener match between Will Ospreay and Kenny Omega versus Don Callis family. So, can we start with this? No. Prior to this match on AEW Dynamite, we have a random match between the Don Callis family versus the Hounds of Black, or the former House of Black, the House of Hell. And Dave Meltzer is trying hard to defend this bullshit. And I don't get why this should be defended at all. And I don't get the idea also why these things should be defended. And oh my god, why we are defending this bullshit? Yeah. I'm trying to look for the Meltzer say what thing on his shit, and it's getting ridiculous and ridiculous. Pero there's a lot of double standards as well that's happening very recent. Just bear with me here. Sorry about that. Okay. So awesome to hear, boss. Oh my god. But yeah, I'm just going to share with you some tomfoolery bullshit that is happening with AEW. I'm just gonna talk about also since it has to be brought as well, the International Title Series. So we have Orange Cassidy versus Roderick Strong. Then we have another match. Since Orange Cassidy defeated Roderick Strong, we have to see Orange Cassidy versus Konosuke Takeshita. Then Konosuke Takeshita is obviously gonna win this match. And he's going to face Kenny Omega in a match at Revolution. So I don't get this match. I don't get this series, man. This is just stupid as fuck. Like, why we're still asking Orange Cassidy and Roderick Strong just to be part of this bullshit? Then it's like you are wasting your time building Konosuke Takeshita versus Kenny Omega. That's the case. Tapos tangina, parang inalay nyo pa si Takeshita just to just to say that Takeshita is doing a really good job defending the belt. But no, it's not the case. Oh my god, this is getting ridiculous and ridiculous. Oh my god. Then we're trying to look for the clip that I am laughing for days while we're getting this. Okay, I got this one. So again, this is from Meltzer say what, or Meltzer said what. So let's tackle this a little bit. Kasi I can't believe that we're getting this crap.
Facing the two biggest baby faces.
Sorry, let's start.
Then we had Takeshi and Fletcher versus the Hounds of Hell. And
It's a hell of a match.
this was quite a great match.
It's a hell of a match.
But I thought they had a few near falls too many. Because at the end of the day,
Oh god.
Takeshi and Fletcher are facing the two biggest baby faces on the roster at Grand Slam.
Yeah, but they didn't want to. They.
I know they never want to beat the Hounds of Hell, but you know what? Sometimes you got to beat people. We just were talking about that.
They did beat them.
I know, but like they're hitting all of their moves, and these guys keep kicking out of everything that they've got. And finally, we get a combo brainbuster.
I actually thought that they did the best.
I know you're going to put this over. I know you like this.
Oh
stuff.
my God,
I
Dave!
don't like
Stop it.
Sometimes it's time to get over a team, and not the other team.
But this is not one of those times. This is the time where you have to get over both teams.
No.
The Hounds of Hell are they're just getting
Then they should face somebody else and get over. Takeshita and Fletcher are going to Australia in 2 weeks against Will Ospreay and Kenny Omega, the Dream Team. Okay?
And they won.
Yes, after not being able to beat them with one near fall after another. And you can even hear the crowd. They had a spot at the end where there was Takeshita rakes Buddy's eyes. Fletcher hits him with the draping DDT. They go for the cover. Brody kicks out, and you can hear the crowd okay, he kicked out of that one. And then they do another one, and they do another one, and then finally they hit that combo Braden. And you can listen to the crowd. You can hear the crowd hit a peak, and then they kicked out of one too many near falls, and they lost the crowd.
I'll have to watch.
Go watch it again. I'm telling you.
Because I certainly did not see it that way.
Well, you can watch it again. And you will see.
I mean, the thing also is again, it's this was they wanted to give those guys a win over somebody credible, but they didn't want to. Look, they won. That's all that matters at the end of the day. They got the win. In WWE, they would have done it the same way.
No, it would have been much more dominant.
No,
if Jey Uso was going for the title.
Okay, that's the first part. Okay, so let's address that for this part. Okay, so before we move on to the review, I just can't resist to share with you that very clip from The Observer. And oh my God, thank you. Meltzer said what? And it's getting ridiculous and ridiculous every time that I'm listening on these clips. But yeah, here's the thing. Even in local wrestling, let's say this as it is, never put any big credible faces or heels or any tag teams. It's applicable also to your champions against someone that you're trying to build, unless it's a title match already, because it ruins their fucking momentum. That's what happened with their fucking Hounds of Hell. And they got buried one night. And what the fuck are we doing here? Come on. Dave Meltzer, I don't know why he's still defending this bullshit. And I can't believe that he's even comparing this to CM Punk. Oh my God. This is getting ridiculous and ridiculous. And luckily, I have my phone here that can play with these clips para lang di tayo madalo ng copyright dito YouTube. But yeah, it is what it is.
Okay, what about Sami Zayn and CM Punk? Sami Zayn got all kinds of offense on CM Punk.
Are the Hounds of Hell going to be Takeshita and Fletcher all in? If they're not, it's not the same as Jay and Gunther.
Okay,
because that's the story that he can't
what did I say
beat
about
the guy.
What is the story? Sami Zayn and Punk. Sami Zayn and Punk.
Yeah,
okay.
Punk beat him.
He did beat him.
Decisively. Clean.
Right, clean. After how many near falls?
They did not kick out of this many.
Maybe not. They did all kinds of near falls in that match. They did all kinds of close calls. Yes.
But when that match was over, Punk was clearly the better man. Punk was the guy you were like, that guy should get the shot.
And Fletcher and Takeshita are heels, so they have to show more vulnerability. And at the end, they won.
I didn't like it.
Okay.
Wait. Let's address that in a bit. Kasi, this is clearly out of touch now. Punk and Sami Zayn, yes, it's a random match if you think about it, to be able to qualify for a fucking elimination chamber match. And yeah, Yes, for some people who doesn't really care about these qualifying matches, you might not care about it. But keep in mind, WWE is building stories here. And that detail that we're getting is just a detail of what we're trying to tell. In AEW, this just oh my god, Dave. And it doesn't matter. That's according to him itself. Doesn't matter if the one that they're trying to build is losing already the credibility after one match. Because the important here is they're able to build another tag team. Like what the fuck? Like what the fuck? Like Dave Meltzer is trying hard to defend this policeman, but he failed miserably. And like what the fuck are we talking about here? And this is getting ridiculous and ridiculous. Sorry about that. Whenever time we're talking about Meltzer on this podcast. And to say at least, it's getting out of touch. And I don't know why people are still defending this bullshit. Just to be honest with you. Go back to the clip.
But you're welcome to.
I grew up on Stevens
I
and
thought
Patterson.
the match was great,
I grew
but
up on Ste-
I
I grew
thought
up
there
on
were too
Ste-
many near falls there.
I grew up on Stevens and Patterson, and this is what they did.
That's fine in
I grew up on
1970s, but that
Okay.
was today. We gotta
Oh,
make
guess what?
stars. We have to make stars. We
Guess
have
what?
to make guys that are at another level than other guys. That's what we have to do.
Okay,
If
but
otherwise, we're not gonna have stars.
Guess what? Guess what? Guess what? Guess what? Who's wrestling Okada?
Who is ours, Buddy? Yeah, wrestling Okada.
So he has to be protected.
Okay, so put him in another match.
They decided to make an exciting match.
I know they did. That's my point. That was a mistake.
Okay, let's address that another part. Kasi this is getting out of touch also. In WWE, you see the number one contenders fighting other people. Yes, with distraction. And it definitely directly affects the outcome of the finish for the match. And it's not gonna... here's the thing. In WWE, everything was choreographed. And it is what it is. Like, every time that you see this interference or this type of bullshit that we're trying to tell about this type of shows, it's getting explained from time to time. Because you have to justify the storytelling of these specific scenarios. And Dave is clearly trying to defend this one. But he can't. Because, eto, tama yung sinabi ni Brian Alvarez here. That I am trying to point out here as well. That if you want to build your champions or the one that you're trying to push, don't put them in matches against the one that who has the credibility already, or they're just trying to build like what the fuck. Like House of Hell was already fucked because of Black Living AEW, and this just extend the wounds of what the hell they're trying to do. Then let's start the Kazuchika Okada thing. He interfered with the match, and it doesn't affect the finish of the match. Like, there's just a distraction. Like, nothing happened after that distraction. Everyone is just no-selling that distraction. Sabi naman, ay, dapat iba naman yung outcome kasi nagiging repetitive kasi. That's the logic eh. That's how the logic goes when it comes to wrestling. That you have to follow a cliche of wrestling finishes. Is this the same reason why we could not take AEW seriously? Or just a factor why AEW was fucked? right now. And to be honest, I could blame all of you guys if you guys are no longer watching AEW. And it sucks as someone who is watching the show since day one. I'm always saying it sucks because I watched AEW since day one, and I am disappointed on some segments or matches happened on these shows. But this top bullshit defense on this programming is just ridiculous as hell. And I can't believe that they're defending this, man.
If you want to protect two teams, have them each do different matches. We have 220 guys on the roster. Don't tell me there's not another team that Takeshi and Fletcher could beat that's a named team. Don't tell me there's not another team that House of Hell could beat. Or Buddy. Because there is.
Okay, but guess what? They also did the spot with the fake Okada spot in the match. If you don't have Buddy...
Oh, that one even made me more angry. I wish you had to mention that. Oh, my God. So they're doing this match, and they're like halfway through, and Buddy goes up top, and they hit Okada's music. Okay? They hit his music in the middle of this match. So Buddy gets distracted, and he's looking to the back, like, where is...
Oh my God. That's it. But yeah, like what we mentioned there, it doesn't make sense at all. Like, the distraction doesn't make sense. And in wrestling, like what we are telling here, in reality of wrestling, or the reality here, you have to follow a fucking cliche. And cliche always works. Kasi sabihin ng iba dyan, ay, ayaw namin sumunod sa cliche ng WWE. Because nagagawa na siya before eh. So why we have to tell a fucking new thing? Sometimes old is new. And it works all the time. Last thing.
Cut off.
Yeah.
And then he gets the heat back again.
Yeah.
And they just kept going. And I was like, what did we do that spot for? What was the point? It didn't cost him the match. He got the heat right back afterwards.
To set up Okada and Buddy.
Oh my God.
Okada and Buddy, because Okada wasn't
didn't do anything.
It's to remind people Okada and Buddy are doing a match in 10 days.
We just saw an interview 5 minutes earlier.
So that's more to add to it.
If the music or Okada would have cost him the match, then fine, okay? That makes sense.
Well,
but like,
they didn't want to
they
do it
did
that way.
music, and then it led to nothing. It was
Well,
just something in the middle of the match that led to nothing.
It's part of the deal of Don Callis being really smart. Don Callis, came up with something to help his team.
That doesn't make sense. Oh my God. Naubos utak ko. Promise. Naubos utak ko. Tapusin na natin to, guys.
But it was a spot in there. It's part. Don Callis, is there anything wrong with making the evil manager, like,
But
really
Dave,
smart?
If the music would have led to the baby faces getting the heat, or the heels getting the heat on them, then that's fine, okay?
Yeah,
but
yeah.
the music hit, the guy's distracted, and literally the spot was, he gets cut off, and then he immediately slips out and gets back in control again. So it didn't even distract him.
He should have sold it longer. I do agree
Yes,
with that.
that's exactly correct.
I will agree with that.
He should
have
have.
sold it. He should have sold it.
Because otherwise it was a pointless distraction.
Yeah,
if you're going to
sure.
distraction, the distraction has to lead to something. Not the guy just getting back in control again.
It led to it led to the other team getting the advantage, but it should have sold longer. Yeah, I agree with that.
Joe and Hook had a meeting, and
That's it. I just wanted to address that matter. Kasi I don't get it eh. I don't get why Dave is really trying hard to defend this bullshit. Like, what the fuck? Eto. This is just getting ridiculous, man. Ridiculous as hell. And like, putang ina. I am losing my words here. I apologize. I am losing my words because it's ridiculous as hell. But again, thank you, Meltzer said what for that clip. And I can talk about peacefully about the match. So, Don Callis family versus Kenny Omega and Will Ospreay. The match was not that bad for the show, to be honest. But this was awesome as expected. But the ultimatum or the momentum was already killed. The momentum was fucking killed already. Like, if you're telling me that Meltzer or anything like this Meltzer bullshit, you're fucked. Like, you're fucked for good. Then, we have Harley Cameron versus Mercedes Moné. Yes, Harley is losing here. Very obvious. But, if you're agreeing with me here, Harley Cameron actually carried the whole feud. Like, the puppets and on how charismatic her is. And yung presentation ng puppet gimmick. And it's amazing to me. Sobrang ano rin talaga ni Harley. Yes, she's green. If you think about her wrestling, I'm not gonna think of the Charlottes or the Biancas. No, it's not. But Harley Cameron was given a chance to prove herself that she's the best and she can be the best also. Given na nga yung tangin ng Mercedes yung kalaban mo, so obviously you're losing. But she carried the feud as she should be. And it was an amazing match, to be honest. But like what we said, the match was clearly carried by the build of the match. But medyo lang talaga. There's no surprise match, to be honest. Harley is definitely worth her ass off for this match, and I hope that we can get something bigger than that. Otherwise, you fuck it again, Tony. Fuck off. Then, ano pa? Isa pa. Ano pa ba dito? We have Momo Watanabe on Wrestle Dynasty winner for the title shot. Then, yeah. According to this week's Dynamite, it was made official for Revolution. I'll talk about that later on. Then, we have the announcements. Kazuchika Okada is fighting for a few minutes. Then, the international title was made official. Kenny Omega versus Konosuke Takeshita. But like what I said earlier, there's still a bump for Konosuke Takeshita because the title matches was set for Revolution and we're getting a bump prior to that, like Orange Cassidy versus Takeshita. It's a ridiculous thing. Okay. Then, okay. Coop! Sabid ako. Nakasabid ako. Legit. Sorry. I have a Milo here, by the way. So, I'm good. So, Coop and Jay White versus the Death Riders. Oh my god. This match was the worst match of the night. If you're agreeing with me. This is basically a brawl, obviously. But they cleared the match of the night. Like, holy fucking hell. The match was no direction. The story was no direction. And this is getting ridiculous. From time to time again. This is getting pointless again and again. We don't get any direction. We don't get any shit. And we don't get any fucks about this thing. This is just Moxley murdering AEW. Murdering the whole company. And fucking up whole company as it is. And we're fucked about it too. It's sad as well. Then we have Kazuchika Okada versus Buddy Matthews. This match was okay. So if mag-agree kayo sa akin, yung appeal ni Okada with this gimmick is no longer working. AEW needs to reevaluate Okada and his status as international champion or intercontinental, whatever championship this is. They need to reevaluate Okada here. Kasi his stick or shriek is no longer working. His thing is not working. That Rider is not working. Mercedes is not working. Things should be reviewed and revised if it's necessary. And we don't have to fucking double down any idea that we have to deal with. Otherwise, we're fucked. It's getting ridiculous and ridiculous. Then, nakita ko na naman yung graphics that we're having a series of matches that was oh my god. Yeah, main event, Toni Storm versus Mariah May for the women's title. So, what we have to talk about here? The match was fine. I'm not saying it's a great match. The match was fine. The finish was weird as fuck. Very unpredictable. Roll up. And we just got a fucking fluke for a hometown hero. Like, what the fuck? We never got a fluke win for a hometown girl. Even though I love the finish. But the win was fluke. Like, what the fuck are we talking about here? It was a feel good moment. Or like the feel good moment was when she first won the belt, Toni Storm. Here does not make sense. Lalo Toni Storm might drop the belt to Mercedes Moné anytime soon. I feel bad for Toni Storm and even Mariah May, to be honest. And at least I called it here in advance that Mercedes Moné might win the title sooner than later. Like, come on, what the fuck are we dealing here? But yeah, that's the review for AEW Grand Slam. AEW Grand Slam, if you're agreeing with me, this is just fine. But I hope this will never happen again as a weekly show. We need a pay-per-view instead. Nung naalala nyo nagkaroon ng Elimination Chamber sa Australia o yung show sa dito. Nagkaroon sila ng show sa WWE sa Australia. That was amazing. Favorable siya kasi sobrang live niya ng hapon dito hanggang gabi. Tangina na AEW, they didn't take advantage of it. And yung NBA momentum that they're trying to take never worked on them. They only got 500k on the ratings, so that sucks. But yeah, that was NBA. Yung kanilang pre-game. And no surprise that Tony Khan lost the wars as well. Okay. So, final thing of the week to talk about here is obviously the Meltzer Observer Awards. And yes, we're going to talk about the fallout of these shows on the next episode of the pod. So stay tuned for that. Okay. So, let's do a recap of what the hell was happening on the Meltzer Observer Awards, or the Wrestling Observer Awards 2024. Okay, So category A, so I don't care about the mechanics or how this works. Okay, so Luta's Ric Flair Award or the Wrestler of the Year. Number 1 is Cody Rhodes. Number 2, Will Ospreay. Number 3, Bryan Danielson. Number 4 is Mystico. Number 5 is Swerve Strickland. Number 6 is Zack Sabre Jr. Number 7, Roman Reigns. Number 8, Sari from Marigold, I think. Number 9 is Gunther. Number 10 is a tie between Drew McIntyre and CM Punk. Let's continue. We have Most Outstanding Wrestler, Will Ospreay, Bryan Danielson, Konosuke Takeshita, Zack Sabre Jr., Sari, Gunther, Swerve Strickland, Mayu Iwatani, Hichiro, Punk, and Cody, tied at number 10. Tag Team of the Year, The Young Bucks. Best on Interviews, Drew McIntyre. Promotion of the Year, very landslide, WWE. Second place, AEW. Weekly TV show, AEW Dynamite. Then second is SmackDown, third is Raw, fourth is CMLL, and fifth is Collision, sixth is NXT. Balikan ko lang yung promotion of the year. I wanna credit James Romero from WSI, and I would say this also. As someone who doesn't really religiously watch CMLL, gusto kong ilagay yung CMLL over AEW. Diba? As number 2. Kasi I think they were able to rise again or to be revived again, and sobrang lakas nung CMLL for the past years. And it was amazing for the promotion. Even AAA is ganun din. Yung nakukuha nila, but it's not the same as what we are getting now. Pero this is getting ridiculous because obviously the tomfoolery people are gonna vote for AEW instead of CMLL. CMLL. Kaya na nauutal ako. Okay, let's continue. Will Ospreay versus Bryan Danielson is the pro wrestling match of the year. And 5 or 4 out of 10 sa top 5 is from AEW. You know the standard of Bryan or Dave Meltzer, yes, for sure. Then we also have ano pa ba? We also have the category B. So US Canada MVP Cody Rhodes, the Japanese MVP, the Japanese Zack Sabre Jr. Number X is Mexico MVP Mystico, Europe MVP Michael Oku, the Hodge Award non-heavyweight MVP is Darby Allin, the Women's Wrestling MVP is Sari. Mercedes is number 4, by the way, if you're wondering. Jordan is not on the list, by the way. I am really disgusted on this. Then feud of the year, this kinda a draw. That's between CM Punk and Drew McIntyre. Then second, Adam Page versus Swerve Strickland. Best box office draw is Cody Rhodes. Most improved, Kyle Fletcher. Most charismatic, The Rock. I'll just my mic, bear with me. Sorry about that, guys. Then the Bryan Danielson Award is to Zack Sabre Jr. The Breast Brawler, Adam Page. Best Flying Wrestler is Will Ospreay. Most overrated Oh my god, Jericho and Moxley on 4th and 5th. CM Punk is on 3rd. Solo is 2nd. Oh my god, guys, what's wrong with this list? Then, most underrated. Oh my god, Adam Page is on number 5. Come on. Beast Mortos and Commander number 3 and 4. Like, what the fuck? Is this serious? Then, Rookie of the Year, Javon Evans, landslide. Then, Best Non-Wrestler, Paul Heyman. Best Television Announcer, Nigel McGuinness. Worst Television Announcer, oh my god, this is gonna be interesting, Booker T. Best Major Wrestling Show, AEW Revolution. And yes, tatlo lang ang WWE dito. So that's WrestleMania Night 2. I don't get why this event was still split into 2. WWE Blood, number 8, and number 10, Backlash in France. And all of the events of AEW, mostly the Revolution, All In, All Out, Dynasty, World's End. That was ridiculous also, by the way, and Forbidden Door. Worst Wrestling Show, walang AEW. So that's AAA, Triple Mania, Monterrey, 427. Then, Best Wrestling Maneuver, Will Ospreay, Hidden Blade. Most... Guys, can we talk about this for a few minutes? Most disgusting promotional tactic. I tackled this on the PWPH podcast, but that was shallow. So I'll just tackle this a little bit longer here on my podcast, the flagship podcast of the Wrestling Network. So, I don't get the idea why we are not favoring the CM Punk footage as the worst promotional tactic or the most disgusting promotional tactic of the 2024. Like, the Saudi thing is very given, but other than that, there's no one can close about that. Like the CM Punk thing. And was stupid already. Number 2, you notice that's the WWE booking Liv Morgan sending photos to Dominic Mysterio by a text similar to what was described in the General Grant lawsuit. Like, come on, guys. This is getting ridiculous at this point for sure. Then, number 4, UFC bringing Donald Trump to shows like a fucking hero. Number 5, WWE whitewashing Vince McMahon from the history rather than addressing the culture and the company. Number 6, WWE talking about sellouts and regular gates. So let's address that here. Those 24 people who voted for this on this category, you can go fuck yourself. Oh my god. That was disgusting. Like, what the fuck? Do you guys think flexing a success is already a promotional tactic or the most disgusting promotional tactic? But if it happens in AEW, you guys are going to praise it. Like, this is amazing and a great thing. Like, what the fuck? Oh my god. This is out of this world, by the way. Number 7, WWE having their women to a swimwear photo shoot in Saudi Arabia as part of their propaganda. Number 8, Paul Levesque saying that he didn't read the General Grant lawsuit and acting like it was a great week for the company. Like, come on guys. It's like namatayan ka. Tapos gusto mong pag-usapan yung mga kasalanan ng namatay. Like, putang ina, what? Oh my god. Like, what the fuck are we talking about here? Number 9. Walang number 9. Sorry. Ayan. Number 9 is WWE silence on leaf feeding. Number 10, Netflix promoting Mike Tyson versus Jake Paul. Okay. Worst television show, AEW Rampage. Most worst television show or match of the year is Jimmy Uso versus Jay Uso. Noticeable, walang masyadong AEW dito. Number 3, Billy Gunn versus Jay White. Oh my god, what the hell is going on here? Bully Ray versus Raj Desi. Number 7. Then, oh my god. Worst feud of the year. Adam Cole versus MJF. Landslide. Oh my god. And yes, this is dominated by AEW. Like, number 1, that's that. Number 3, Dead Riders versus AEW. Number 4, Chris Jericho versus Hook. Number 5, The Elite versus Tony Khan. Number 6, Bailey versus Nia Jax. Number 8, Acclaim versus Bang Bang Gang. Ayan, God. Worst promotion of the year, MWA. Best Booker, Paul Levesque. Promoter of the year, Nick Khan. Sorry, number 5. Best gimmick, Tony Storm. Worst gimmick, Learning Tree. Best pro wrestling book, The Man, Not Just Your Average Girl by Becky Lynch. And the worst or the best pro wrestling documentary, Mr. McMahon. Okay, that's it. Napahingal ako habang binabasa ko to. But okay. So, Mr. McMahon to me was fine. I am not really expecting a lot about the Mr. McMahon. But wala man ako ganong na-miss about the Mr. McMahon. But hindi na rin nakakagulat yung mga nangyari or mga ganap doon sa Mr. McMahon. And ang mga magugulat, ito, in my personal take, ang magugulat na lang sa mga nangyari sa Mr. McMahon is the ones na hindi na nagfa-follow ng product. Sila na lang yung hindi magugulat dito. Sa totoo lang. And to wrap this up, guys, I would say mas credible pa yung awards ng South Koreans kaysa sa nangyari sa the Wrestling Observer Awards. Like, what the fuck? Okay, so by the way, guys, just to cap the episode, I hope you can also read our article about the PWPH Awards. Katatapos lang yan. We did already an episode, so it might be uploaded the same day as this episode is common as well. So, you can follow and support the podcast on all of the social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, X, TikTok, Twitch, and on Threads, the Main Event Mark PW, and all of the rest of the podcast platforms at the Main Event Mark. Again, naputol na yung aking, looks like I have to buy another earphones again. So, follow the podcast on all of the social media platforms at Main Event Mark PW. My earphones are already fucked. So, let's cap this off. And thank you always for listening on the show, for always listening on this podcast, and for always waiting for me to come back from time to time. This was my first hibernation of the year. I hope this will not happen again. And as promised, we're going to talk about wrestling in the next couple of days. So, for now, I'll just tackle the other ones on the next few episodes. Pinangako ko na, tinis ko na kanina We will talk about that one ahead at a time on the other episodes of the podcast later this week on the pod. For now, my name is Angelo from the Main Event Mark Podcast. This has been a PWPH Wrestling Network's podcast, the flagship podcast of the PWPH Wrestling Network. And bye for now. Stay safe and stay wrestle. See you on the next episode. Bye for now.